Welcome to another day of reading at Southgate. Today we get to revisit our Seahorses book. Since it's a familiar story, we will read this one together. Coralie, you'll get to join in on some of the reading. We'll also gain information from that nonfiction text. The first time we read it, we were really focusing on figuring out the words. We did still get some information, but now we know a lot more of the words. We're able to focus even more on what did we learn from the book, and you'll be able to share some of those interesting facts on your own later. Remember how we did the KWL the first day? You got to talk about things you already know and things you wanted to know. Today we'll get to add some things that we learned as we reread Seahorses. And today I will read a sentence, then we'll read it together so we get multiple chances to practice it. We'll also talk about some important parts of nonfiction, which are the nonfiction text features. These help us understand and use a nonfiction book so much better. This table of contents lists the sections of the book. What is a seahorse? You'd find that information on page 4, all the way until you get to the next section. Parts of a seahorse's body. And then the last one, baby seahorses. So if you were doing some research or for a class or just for fun, you wanted to know what are the parts of a seahorse's body, you could read the whole book. Or if you just want that very specific information, you can just look at the table of contents and see, oh, I can just flip to page 12. There's the same heading, parts of a seahorse's body, that was here in the table of contents. So you know you're going to learn all about their body parts in that section. Nonfiction can be used really well to find specific information. What is a seahorse? Together. What is a seahorse? There are many kinds of fish. Together. There are many kinds of fish. The seahorse is a kind of fish. The seahorse is a kind of fish. There are about 32 kinds of seahorses. There are about 32 kinds of seahorses. Here are some of them. Here are some of them. Now, we read through all of these the first day. We won't have time to read it through all of them again today. But you can pause it if you'd like and read those again with your family. I'll give you a second to pause that. Interesting names there. I see another nonfiction text feature. We see real photographs, because these are real creatures, and they have labels or captions underneath. These ones are just labels. They're just telling us what the name of the creature is. But on the next page, we have some captions. They have a little bit more information to learn about them as well. Seahorses are many different sizes. Seahorses are many different sizes. Some are as small as grapes. Some are as small as grapes. Some are as big as bananas. Some are as big as bananas. Remember, we got to see the big ones that are about the length of a ruler, or they said like a banana, and the really little ones like grapes, or dwarf and pygmy seahorses. And then one in the middle, half the size of a banana. Seahorses live in warm, shallow water. Do you hear how I made a mistake? Mistakes happen, but I was paying attention, so I went back and fixed it. So I'm going to read it again myself, and then I'll have you join me. Seahorses live in warm, shallow water. Together. Seahorses live in warm, shallow water. The yellow area shows where seahorses live. The yellow area shows where seahorses live. Seahorses can live up to 4 years. Seahorses can live up to 4 years. So here we have another nonfiction text feature. This one is a map that gives us more information. Here's all the yellow spots. We also need another part to go with the map. That's the legend. Down here it explains to us what we're learning in the map. I wouldn't know that this yellow part was seahorses unless I read this part. but it tells me that this is the area where we would find seahorses. We also see another nonfiction text feature. This is called a sidebar. This page is talking about warm, shallow water, but the author also wanted to throw in another interesting fact. They wanted to let you know that they live for 4 years. It doesn't specifically relate to the warm water, but it's still an interesting part of information that they wanted to share, but not really about the same topic that's on the rest of the page. So that's called a sidebar, kind of a little extra important piece of information they wanted to add. Seahorses live only in salt water. Seahorses live only in salt water. Here we have another heading. Parts of a seahorse's body. Parts of a seahorse's body. A seahorse has a long snout. A seahorse has a long snout. Now when you look, we see the snout is described here. They also gave us a label. Remember how you labeled your seahorse so that you could show the different parts of it? The same is done here in the book to help us learn all those different parts. Snout, and at the end of the snout, the mouth. A seahorse sucks up food with its long snout. A seahorse sucks up food with its long snout. The seahorse uses its snout like a straw. The seahorse uses its snout like a straw. I know those sidebars might be a little harder for you to see. They're kind of hard written on top of the seahorse. Do your best reading those parts with me. A seahorse has one eye on each side of its head. A seahorse has one eye on each side of its head. There's the 2 eyes labeled. A seahorse can look at 2 different places at the same time. A seahorse can look at 2 different places at the same time. A seahorse does not have teeth. A seahorse does not have teeth. There it's showing its mouth again. You can see there's no teeth. A seahorse has fins and a tail. A seahorse has fins and a tail. Here we see some labels. The pectoral fins, dorsal fin, anal fin, and tail. Those labels help us know all the different parts. Do you see how those labels can really help us understand? They could have just put in words here. The pectoral fins are towards the top of the seahorse. The dorsal fin and anal fin are at the bottom and the back. The tail is curled around the bottom. They could have written all that. It still would have been true. But isn't it so much easier to understand just by looking at the picture and seeing the label? Sometimes authors will do both. Sometimes they'll describe it in full words down here, but also give you the labels so that you can see it in 2 different ways. But those nonfiction text features really are important for helping us find information and understand it more easily. A seahorse swims by moving its back fin. A seahorse swims by moving its back fin. A seahorse's back fin moves faster than a person's eye can see. A seahorse's back fin moves faster than a person's eye can see. So that sidebar again with some extra information for us. A seahorse curls its tail around things to stay in one place. A seahorse curls its tail around things to stay in one place. Some seahorses can change color. Some seahorses can change color. Now when you look closely at those pictures, do you see how those pictures, the photographs, they help you understand what you just read about the changing color? That seahorse is almost camouflaged in there. That one's white. This one's orange to match the area around it. And our sidebar here is going to tell us some more information about that. By changing color to match what's around them, seahorses can hide from enemies. Together. By changing color to match what's around them, seahorses can hide from enemies. And our last section with our last heading, baby seahorses. Baby seahorses. A seahorse has many babies at one time. A seahorse has many babies at one time. The male seahorse has the babies. The male seahorse has the babies. Remember, the male was the boy. That's different than a lot of other creatures. Here it's the boy who has the babies. The female, that's the girl, the female seahorse puts her eggs in the male seahorse's pouch. The female seahorse puts her eggs in the male seahorse's pouch. We have the male and the female, the boy and the girl. The male's pouch gets bigger as the babies grow. The male's pouch gets bigger as the babies grow. There's the pouch labeled for us. The babies swim out of the pouch when they are born. The babies swim out of the pouch when they are born. There are young seahorses. So thinking about all the different information that you've learned, we are going to add to our KWL. You didn't actually have to write anything for the K and the W, but we are going to do some writing for the L this time. For what did you learn? So remember how you can make a circle map? We're going to put seahorses here in the middle. Remember, it's a compound word, so we can break it up. C, horses. You'll do this on your own paper. Put a circle around that, and our big circle here that we can fill with information. And a box around to show where we got our information from. We're all going to have the same frame of reference here. We all got our information from the book Seahorses. Underline a title, and it's by Sylvia James. So you can pause the video and set up yours like mine, or you can do it on your own. You just have to look back here and see what the name of our book was and who wrote it. Then you'll get to put any information that you want that you learned in this book. Remember, if you're writing a fact, we want to try to keep them kind of clustered together. So if you're writing, this is one fact here, and you write another fact over here, another fact over here. So they don't all run into each other. If you write one here and then one right there, it might kind of look like two facts come together as one, and it wouldn't quite make sense. So if you have a longer fact, then keep them together like this, but then leave some space around the other facts. Don't actually write squiggles. Yours are words. I'm just showing you what the facts would look like. And we're trying to kind of spread them out around your circle and write as many interesting facts as you can think of that you learned in Seahorses. Taking a look at our jobs. Did we read a familiar story as a group? Did you read along with me? I hope you were. Give yourself a thumbs up if you were reading along with me. Did you gain some new information? Learn some things you didn't know before the first time we saw this book? Again, I hope so. And you will get to add those into your circle map, and then you'll be able to give yourself thumbs up when you submit it into Seesaw that you have completed that job as well. Have a wonderful rest of your learning day.